essentially, in this session we'll be answering questions for IGCSE Computer Science Paper 2 or O-level because it's the equivalent. So yeah, I won't be covering anything today, but I'll just be answering questions, and hopefully these questions will be helpful for everyone. And yeah, I know that the exam is soon, so I made this space for you guys to ask any questions you guys need clarification on and everything. How do we plan to solve a 15 marker? Good question. I will oh yeah, a lot of these will be pacing resources because it's a lot easier if I redirect you guys to resources than taking up the entire time trying to cover off some menu thing. And in this case, I will send you the 15 marker guide I have made, which is here. How do functions work? Okay. I'll also just be screen sharing pop notes a lot because, yeah. Okay. Here we go. Let me know if you guys can see my screen. So for functions, I'll cover procedures first and then functions, right? So procedures, they essentially take in parameters and they do stuff within the function, but they cannot return an output. Whereas functions take in parameters, does stuff, and then also does return a return value. I'll give a pseudocode pro example if it helps. So in terms of procedure, if we said print menu and then we'll have a parameter being the user's name as a string. So we can say I'll put hello name, and then today's menu is steak beats and procedure. And then whenever we want, we can call the print menu procedure saying my name's Jill or my name's Puppy. And then notice how it will take whatever value we have provided as in the parameter and then do whatever is in the function. So in this case, printing the menu for Joe and printing the menu for Puppy. And in terms of functions, we can provide a return value. In this case, I would say it will return a string and let's say greet instead, right? Now let's say it returns hello and their name. And so now we can output greet puppy. So in this case, it would say hello puppy, and then Once it has returned the value puppy to this, the output function will then output the string we have just made. Or even we can say this as well, which is why people normally make functions, is when you can store the data in the variable. That should be procedures and functions done. Okay. What is the difference? So, oh, sorry. Greeting has not been declared. I'll declare greeting with that. Um, yeah. So the hello puppy string will be stored from here inside of here, and then it will output the greeting. Okay. Um, now I've been asked a question. A lot of the times for the 15 marker, they have a ton of redundant stuff, and the word in the question are um 1 second. I'll just put it. Maybe it's more visible. And the word in the question is really confusing, which makes me misinterpret. Do you suggest any suggestions on how I can abstract the question properly to make sure I can cover everything? Um, okay. I have made I really recommend watching the 15 marker video. I literally went through that exact same question. Um, what I essentially did for short is when you read the question, you try to, cut out words that aren't important, and then from the words that are important, you cipher through what the question is asking again, and then you make kind of a plan slash layout for yourself. Like, for example, declare variables as a bullet point, right? Declare variables, make menu procedure, and then maybe if it's a playing game, then grid move procedure, and then um detect win condition. Something like that as a plan for yourself. Let's say these are the only 4 things you needed to do in the 15 marker. Then you just write those down, and then it's a lot easier for yourself to come back to the plan. But yeah, please do watch my video. I will mention it again in the chat. Okay. I have been asked to give tips for the 15 marker. No, watch my video and then let me know if you have anything else. Do they really care about code quality, or is it fine if you have done? Okay, so code quality does matter in 2 ways. In the first way, in terms of the AO3, which is using meaningful identifiers, leaving good blank space, using procedures and functions, identify comments, whatever. That's already one part of the 15 marker, right? And then, so yeah, doing those automatically improve code quality, therefore it does matter. And second of all, the 15 marker is kind of like an essay question in like business papers or um, English papers where it, you just have to try to make it look the most appealing um, to the examiner because they they don't directly have a clear marking scheme of this giving a point and that giving another point for you. They just have to guess it on vibes. So if you give them good vibes, they will give you good marks. Yeah, but for normal questions like 4 and 5 markers, you can get away with worse code quality. I've also been asked, will we do a walkthrough of the February-March 2026 P2 or no? I could at the end of the session, depending on majority vote, but I'll answer your questions for now. Also, we have 2 hours here, so yeah. Can you help us visualize arrays inside of loops? Often, a lot of the difficult questions have arrays, 1D and 2D. I'll try to do one really quickly, but I will also try to make you go to the 15 marker video if you can. Anyways, I'll refer back to my array slides from my old session. So we have 1D array and 2D arrays. 1D array should be, quite straightforward. You have the beginning index and the last index. Remember, these might, for example, the beginning might be 0. It could even be 5 or 2 for that matter, but typically it will be 1, and that's the default in pseudocode. And yeah, you can just think of like one column or one row of just a list of whatever is inside. In this case, it's a string of names. 2D arrays, however, you can think of them as tables. And typically, it will be quite clear in the question of how you should be visualizing them. Sometimes they even give you a whole table, for that matter. And in this case, there are 2 columns being history marks and English marks, and then each row being the students. So every time you're trying to query students' marks, you can go the row and then the column. I remember it as remote control, if that helps, RC. So if we output 2, 1, it will do student 2 and column 1, and that's 22%. So now we have gotten student B's history marks. And yeah, generally that's all, but try to watch my 15 marker. I suppose I've already explained it there. Can you explain my bubble sort? I have made a bubble sort video. It's probably one of the best videos I've produced, so I will link it down here. What do we have to do tomorrow? You will have to ace the exam paper, and I believe in you guys. Do I need to know every pseudocode function by heart? And by that, I don't have all of them memorized. Yes, you do. All the built-in features or function names, you will have to keep them memorized. And it's not that much. It's only like round, random, upper, lower, etc. Just go through the syllabus. At the end of the syllabus, there is already a pseudocode guide. And if not, go through Rudd's guide and pub notes. Rudd's guide I will link down here. Would it be to assume the bullet points is a literal checklist? And would I get the requirements? I don't get what your question means. Yes, it is 6 in efficiency and 9 for logic. But whoever gave me this question, please elaborate. Can I help you with that question? Sure. Let's see. Okay. We carry out bubble sort. For 1000 numbers stored in a one-dimensional array. Let's see. Of reals, we want ascending order. Yeah, look at how, notice how I'm just highlighting the parts that matter. Um, so you can just underline with your pencil. Um, index stop hold. We'll see what hold is. Um, stop is false, while not stop. Um, so stop equals false. So this is the equivalent to like this swap keyword I use in my notes. For 1 to 50, that should be 1000. If, let's say, okay, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 3, 4, 2, 5. Um, that's the list. Actually, there is 1000, but I'll just simplify it, right? And in this case, we want descending order, but for some reason, it's checking if, oh, actually, it's right. Yeah. If the value after is greater than the value before, which is this, it will do all the swapping. And so, yeah, this sign is correct. But if it was this way, it would be wrong because, for example, this shouldn't be swapping because, um, yeah, this is the temp value. So it holds the first one, it swaps, and then this goes to the temp. This one should be a true. And if next index, that's good. Next stop, that's wrong. We have to become end while. Next is only used for loops. Now, let's see. We have got 1 mistake, 2 mistake, 3 mistakes. What is the last one? While not stop. Stop is a Boolean index. Should be an integer, not a sharp. I won't bother, writing out all the errors here, but there are our 4 um mistakes. And yeah, it it should seem easy enough. You just go line by line and base it on the theory you know. In this case, it's the bubble sort theory. Right, so I was checking the conversion signs, also checking, values. They normally try to like figure out with values, data types, and yeah, syntax too. How the loop will run if we are doing stop true on line 5. I've been asked this question. How would the loop run if we're doing stop true? Check my bubble sort video. It should be explaining it very clearly. How many marks do bubble sort usually carry in a paper? It could be a simple 4 to 5 marker, or it could be involved in the 15 marker. And if it does, then yeah. So really do try to revise it. It's one of the most important um theories alongside linear sort, of course. Linear search, I mean. If there is a 1D array and a 2D array, how will you know if... One second, I'll just paste it here. If there's a 1D array and a 2D array, how will you know if the 1D array is matching the column or row of the second 2D array? Okay, yeah. For example, if there's x of 1, 7, will it be y of 1, 7 in the row or 1, 7 in the column? You can use either if you're making the y. But if the y is given, then you just have to notice here. Or if it explicitly says 7 rows, 24 columns, or vice versa. And you just have to figure out the number from there. Do you think learning Python or Pseudo is easier? My take on Python or pseudocode is that you'll be having to learn pseudocode for um for all of the other questions as well, except the 15 marker. And so um might as well just use it for the 15 marker, right? Unless you're really, really good in Python and you have just learned pseudocode, then you can do that. But again, examiners will be more lenient towards pseudocode because they see more pseudocode, more people using pseudocode. Therefore, try to use pseudocode if you can. Um, yeah. Are we supposed to DM questions? No, type in the chat. I will kill you if you DM me questions. I'm kidding, I will not kill you. Um, can we add arrays in our own 15 marker? Can we add arrays? Yes, you can add arrays. However, typically people do not know how to make arrays. Um, and so normally they aren't that mean, but yeah, you might have to. But if it's not required, try not to, because you'll likely just mess yourself up. How strict is the marking scheme on spelling small mistakes? On small spelling mistakes, especially the 15 marker. 15 marker is probably very lenient in terms of spelling mistakes. 4 to 5 markers, I'm not sure. Just try not to be referring to the wrong thing, and that just depends on the examiner. How do I strengthen my pseudocode concepts? Do more pseudocode questions. Get AI or use past papers to get questions and then do those pseudocodes questions in Pseudocode Pro. And also he has made exam questions here and challenges and all that. So check this website out and um yeah, because then you can see model answers too. Puppy. Give me 1 second. Okay. Someone has elaborated on this question. Let's see. Like for example, my code works, but it has 5 different loops. If I put the exact code in a compiler, it would work, but I've used 4 continuation booklets to get my whole code in. Example, having 5 different loops instead of using a subroutine, or would I lose logic marks or efficiency marks? You would probably lose efficiency slash, AO3 marks, the making code quality good kind of marks. If you were to lose any, which again depends on the examiner, but try your best not to. And also, like, do you care which part of marks you're losing? Like, just try to make your code as efficient as possible. You're trying to increase marks overall. Okay. I'm sorry if I'm not reaching your question. I have to scroll down for each question. Um, any tips for revision? Tips for revision. Okay. Resources are all pinned in the IG's computer science channel. Check that out first. And then in terms of paper 2, I would try to do a lot of these questions in Pseudocode Pro. And don't get distracted. Don't procrastinate. That's the biggest tip you would probably need. What did you eat? How did you get global rank in CS? I got top in country, and I eat pretty lean food that I cook myself. Can we skim through file handling? I'll note it down here, but I'll do it after I have scrolled to the end. What is the website? Pseudocode.pro. The link has been pasted by someone. Which videos to understand better concepts of pseudocode? You can watch my P2 session, um, which I will link here. But also Pseudocode Pro himself has a lot of good videos covering all pseudocode concepts, so do that as well. I'm normally the complementary to yeah, because I mostly cover theory, but pseudocode will carry you throughout the rest. Would studying the mark scheme for the 15 marker help make code more efficient, or what else can we do? Just keep doing more 15 markers. Use the mark scheme as an example, because I think they are quite efficient. But careful, sometimes the mark scheme can be wrong. That's like 1% of the time, so don't be confused if they are wrong. But yeah, just looking at example code and trying to mimic the code is probably one of the best ways you improve, not just in computer science, but in life. I model myself after a lot of people. Does efficiency matter in the 15 marker? Um, as long as you're not crazy inefficient, it won't matter that much. It will just waste your time. But also, if you are crazy inefficient, then the examiner might just give you lower marks because he feels, or she or they feels like it, because it's the subjective kind of question. How do we manage our time in the 15 marker? Um, I do I don't know. Just try to try to do the rest of the paper first and then, use the rest of the time for the 15 marker because um the 15 marker will consume a lot of your time. But also if you write like just a bit, like, maybe 30 or 50%, you already get a lot of marks. So yeah. Do we have to put 0 or blank when initializing an integer, array, or a string when in the question paper? Oh, I've been asked this. So some argue you do, some argue you don't. But typically there are a lot of, like, there will be marks for initialization, so just please do. Declaring is subjective, but initializing is a must. Some might argue there's already a default value provided within the compiler, but we never know, and it's a lot safer to do initialization. For general advice, if you have scored 60 out of 75 in paper 1, how much should you be aiming? Um, Another 60 would be nice. 120 is a safe spot for a star, but my grade boundaries do go down to 110, 108, etc. For a menu question in the 15 marker, can we make procedures, then insert them into the main function instead of... Okay, that's a great question. So essentially what they're asking is, can we just use functions and procedures to essentially make the code cleaner and shorten up one part, which my guide on procedures and functions is, unless the question does require you to make a specific one, I wouldn't touch it, so you don't have to mess yourself up. And you might be called inefficient in the sense where, why are you trying to make a whole procedure or function if you're only using it once? because the whole point of making them is so you can use them multiple times. If the question tells me to input 15 numbers, do I need to write it in a for loop? You will have to write it in a for loop, yes, or a while loop, or whatever loop you want to repeat until loop. What's the compiler? You don't even know. You don't have to know for this paper. It's fine. It's essentially what runs the code, right? Okay. I have scrolled down to the end. Now I will be covering file handling unless someone is typing a question right now. Will we do a past paper? Um, will we? Maybe at the end. We have around an hour and 30 minutes left. So yeah, I will consider doing it. Okay, now let's go through file handling, shall we? Let's see. Okay, here is file handling. Um, uh, 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 um, okay. So here's an easy example from a mark scheme that has been covered in variant 3, 2023 May, June. And yeah, it's asking to allow a string to be input in the variable string, store the content in a file called quotations.txt, and then making sure the text file is closed at the end of the algorithm. Here is an example. I typically do output just so it looks pretty, but I don't think, yeah, look at mark point 1. It doesn't really take marks off, but good habit, I feel. Yeah. So enter the setting has been inputted, and then we open the file for write. Now we can open the file for read or write as shown in the syllabus example here. We can write file, quotations.txt, and from what we got in the input, and then we can close the file as per required by the mark scheme. Here is the example for every single operation. And I will type pub notes in the chat. Mods, if you don't mind stickying pub notes, if that's fine. Oh, okay. Any other questions before I might cover a paper? Can I get an A if I've only done SQL and logic gates? You can get an A if you've done everything except SQL and logic gates. Because pseudocode will probably allow you to get an A without, well, I'm not sure, but you cannot, however, get an A with only SQL and logic gates. Will you explain basic pseudocode concepts? Um, I'll just go through the paper, I'm guessing. Can you cover star functions in SQL? What do you mean star functions? Just all functions? Okay, I'll just cover all of SQL for now. I'll leave the paper to the last. I feel like we can hopefully speed run a paper in 1 hour. So maybe in like 20 or 30 minutes we'll go through the paper. Oh, like the star that retrieves everything. Okay, I'll let you know. Here. Try. Oh yeah. Quickly answer the question. Is it good to know all the bubble sort codes, or can I just stick to one? To the repeat until one. I recommend to learn all because um questions about optimizations can and might come up. Now, SQL. Um, I have been asked about the stars. Okay, in this case and in the notes, I will be using a table to represent the SQL table. And yeah, the star. Okay, so star in SQL means a wildcard. It can, it essentially means everything. Um, for the select function, we can do select star from dogbooks, and then it would select every single field, right? Because this is where you normally type the fields. So it would output the whole table. Um, or another use case is in count, where you can count the number of rows given the condition or not. Right. And now this is where the star or not star might come in, but I don't think the exam would be that mean. So, where's the star? Right. If we're trying to count how many rows are new or not new, um, we would be using uh this count function, right? However, normally you would provide count and then the field inside. But also, um, normally every single row is filled. So no matter what row, no matter what field you provide, for example, stocks left, there will be four rows. Or in this case where we're only getting new, it will be only these two. Or if we said count description, then it will be only these two. Because we're trying to get a new one, right? But yeah, it typically won't matter what kind of what field you pick in the count function. However, there's one specific case. I'm not sure whether IGCSE will cover this, but I'll just teach you guys anyways. Um, where this, where if the field is empty or null, um, and null in this case means like it has nothing in it. Um, and in this case, if you count description, um, where the book is new, it will count these two, but since this one is empty, it won't be counted. So it will output as 1. So this is the only description that is new, which is valid because this one is empty, right? Regardless of whether the book is new or not. Okay, that is everything about the star in SQL. Can I get good with arrays in 3 hours? Yes, you can. I wouldn't say 30 minutes is doable, but to be enough for the exam, I would say 3 hours of like revision with some emphasis on array is like decent. Because yeah, 15 markers can be quite tough if you're not like fully used to how arrays work. How many years of practice, including all sessions, is enough? Oh, years of past paper practice. I was so confused. Um, I would say I'm not sure actually. Each year has 3 variants. 2 years is probably enough in terms of revision, and you'll probably not be able to cram more than 2 years in the time remaining for the paper anyways. Um, or you could be a psychopath like me if you're trying to get top in country or distinction and go even until the old syllabus. But if not, then I don't recommend. I'm a bit shaky with procedures and functions still. Watch Pseudocode Pro's videos on it. Search Pseudocode Pro up on YouTube. He has made great pseudocode concept videos, including procedures and functions. How would you suggest getting to learn arrays? Uh, watch a pseudocode. No, actually, I think, okay, the concept of array I have briefly explained earlier in the session. Um, but if not, watch my P2 session and then afterwards watch Pseudocode Pro's videos on arrays and do examples on it. And that should be all. I have 2 papers on Wednesday, and I feel like I should focus more on accounting. How many papers should I do with that in mind? I do not know about your circumstances, um, about how good you are in accounting or CS, about various factors, but um, do 1 year of, so 3 papers, let's say, and then see where you're at. And then after that, you know, adjust on your own accord. I cannot be your advisor. But also, if you just alternate between CS and accounting, you can do it until you're used to both, and then you then pick whichever one you need. General advice. Any other questions before I try to start the um thing? How do you derive logic gates from tables? Okay, I'll cover that. Give me 1 second. Um, okay. I've been asked how to derive the logic gates from tables. Um, and so here, how to describe or how to derive logic gates. Okay, these examples I've talked about logic expressions um from whatever because it's a lot easier, but I think it'll be clear enough. So I'll first go through logic expression and then you can figure out how to go to the gates afterwards. Um and this is how you do it. Follow along because this is very important and do not change the way you approach these kind of questions. So it says write a logic expression for the given truth table. Do not simplify the logic expression, which is the most important part. And the truth table has been shown. I have highlighted the two rows where x is 1, which is these rows. And so for this row, um, you need 1, 0, 0. And the next row, you need 1, 1, 1. So what you essentially have to do is just go through both pairs. This is the first, or triplets, I mean. This is the first triplet, 1, 0, 0. For values that are 1, you would just type the column. Values that are 0, then you just say not, and then not, right? So it would be 1, and not of 0 would also be 1, and then not of 0 here would also be 1. So it would be 1 and 1 and 1 to make it true. And then this one is just A, B, and C, or 1, 1, 1, right? And so this essentially gives you 1 given this condition, and this gives you 1 given this condition. And so x is either condition. So you say the first condition or the second condition. And yeah, that is how you derive from a truth table. And that's why you say, no, that's why the question says do not simplify, right? Because you can probably make this whole expression a lot shorter, but the exam wants you to show, you're working, not just a shortcut. I know I should watch your video, but how do you understand 15 markers like easily or in a good way? Um, Abstract it a lot and decompose it in a lot and design a quick, plan for yourself. Okay. Um, yes, you just have to see where there is 1 in the truth table. Do you recommend using pencil first? Yeah, sure. And I mean, I am almost 100% sure that the examiners can see your um pencil writing if you just give it and without like tracing with pen over. And so if worse comes to worse, you don't have to time to trace over it. As long as your pencil is dark enough, you can probably see it. Because, even DT papers, they can, like, scan the paper and so. Can you explain number generation for me, please? Um, what do you mean number generation? Do not say random. Okay, you can say random. I'll go over it again because it's quite confusing too. Can I write outside the lines, or what if I run out of space? You cannot write outside the lines. You can get a continuation sheet by raising your hand and asking the invigilator for one, and just continue there. Because you're not guaranteed that the examiner will see the edge of your paper. They probably won't. Um, yeah. When they ask to generate 100 numbers in the 15 marker, so I'm guessing generating a random integer. Okay, I'll teach that. Let me just quickly look at questions. How much time do you recommend taking for the 15 marker? How much time do you have in total? Someone remind me. I have not done the exam for 2 years. 1 hour and 45 minutes. So, um, 45 to an hour would be nice. 40, no, I would say 45. Is that fair? I think that's fair. It really depends on how good you are. Um, with theory vs 15 marker, right? And I can't say exactly, so you have to adjust on your own accord, but um, do it last because you can get some marks by, writing random stuff. I know this is a stupid question, but does it matter if I'm not leaving spaces or leaving lines before statements? Try to leave lines because it looks cleaner, it looks better, and if you make a mistake, you forgot to include something, then you can quickly come back. A bit of a weird question. I will not talk about the current exam or, paper. Um, how do you think link arrays like 15 marker? That's also a good question. How do you debug? Um, if you're talking about like a question where it says spot the errors, then go through line by line and try to check for correct values, correct syntax, and correct data types, and making sure the logic is correct. If you're talking about the 15 marker, then just read through your entire code again and compare it directly to the 15 marker question and see if you missed anything. And even try running the program through in your head if it helps. What is modular division? I can go over that quickly too. Sorry, I would go through each of these questions. Just have to. Okay. When they asked to generate 100 numbers in the 15 marker. So, give me 1 second. Okay. Uh, how do you generate 100 random numbers? I am not sure about the specifics, but let's see. Do we have to do slash slash for comments? Yes. Um, okay. Generate 100. Uh, 100 numbers in the 15-month marker. So if we want 100 numbers, we can do 1 to 100, and then, oh yeah, I'll explain random actually. Yeah, let's do that first. Okay, how do you generate a random number overall? The random procedure, where you just open and close the brackets, will give you a random number between 0 and 1 inclusive, or a random real number, a random real, which might be 0, might be 0 0.2, 0 0.5, 0 point that, 0 0.9, or 1, right? And so you don't know what you get, but it will be random from there. Let's say you want to generate a number, a random number from 2 to 7. We can first, um, I'll I'll go over it again, but I'll go through the first time quickly, yeah. So the range from 2 to 7 is 5. So we multiply the range by 5. Now you have a 0 to 5 inclusive real, which might be that 1.56, 2.6, 3.2, 4, 5, right? And now if you add, no, let's round it off first. So do that. And then D is the number of digits to round to. And in this case, we want a whole number, so 0. So now we have a random whole number between 0 and 5. And we said we wanted a random number between 2 and 7. So we can do all of this plus 2, which shifts this entire thing. So this goes to 2, this goes to 3, this goes to 4, 5, 6, and 7. So we have successfully generated a random number from 2 to 7. So notice how the random function gave us a 0 to 1, and then we multiply it by 5 to make it 0 to 5 to increase the range. And then we round it off 0 to 5, and then we plus 2 at the end to shift from 0 to 5 to 2 to 7. So that is how you generate a random number. Now we can, if we wanted to generate 100 numbers, we can output, let's say a random number between 2 to 7, 100 times. By doing this. So yeah, we have just generated a random number between 2 and 7 100 times, as requested. Please take a screenshot and the code. I got you. Here's the code and the screenshot if it helps. Should be clear enough. How do we round a random number to the nearest whole number? To the nearest whole number, however, they ask it should always round up. What do you mean? Elaborate. This has been asked as a question. You cannot do that because this the random function does not take in any arguments. It can only just open and close and give you a random number between 0 and 1. A random of 2 is not a thing. And if you only just delete this, then you'll get a random number between 0 and 5. Okay. Can you please elaborate on this question? Fish and chips. In my mock exam, I put random 06. Yeah, that is not a thing. How to round up? Like if the number... Oh, okay. How do you round up? In general, I guess. Unfortunately, there is no way to round up or down perfectly, but I'll give you my... Oh, wait. Give me a second. There might be one. Let me check. If you output a div of 2, 1, what happens? Yeah, I think it's still the same issue, maybe. I don't think there's a perfect way to round up or down, and I don't think they should ask you. But if they do, then I will give you one neat little trick to do so. Be patient with me. Unexpected token div. Have I forgotten how to do div? Oh, it's just 5.2 div 1, isn't it? Has it changed, or is this a wrong compiler? Yeah, it should be this, isn't it? Sorry, wrong compiler. Cause yeah, okay. You can't do much. Okay, the only way to round up is by adding 0.5. For example, if you want to round up 5.2, you add 0.5, and that would be 5.7, so it rounds up to 6, right? Or 5.3, that's 5.8 rounds up to 6. 5.5 is already 6. 5.7 plus 0.5 is 6.2, rounds down to 6. So in this case, every single time it rounds from 5 point whatever to 6, 5.9, 6.4 goes to 6. However, there's one exception, which is when the value is just a number, which you can't combat this mistake, by the way. But if it's just 5, if you round, quote unquote, round up um, to the nearest value of just the number 5, it should just be 5, right? Because it's already a number. But if you add 0.5, it would be 5.5, and then 5.5 rounds up to 6. So there is a slight inaccuracy by doing this, but this is the only way you can round up. Yeah. Any other questions? One second. Um, Easy method to make a menu. Okay, I gotcha. And then, sorry. Here. Can I use if to see? Oh yeah, you're smart for that. Do that. No, wait. Yeah. Okay. Um, really smart. Good job. So you can check if it's a whole number, and if it is, then you don't round up, right? For example, if it was we can say if 5, no, well, okay, um n, and n is the user input or whatever we're trying to round. Let's say it's 5, right? Um, so in this case would be n plus 5. We can say if n equals round of n to the nearest whole number, then uh then we pass. So I'll just do the other case where it's not equal, and then we can say we can round n up. Because now we're checking if n is equals to rounded is not equal, because if it is equal to rounded n, um then that means n is already a whole number. But if it's not equals to a rounded n, meaning it's 5.1, 5.2, you can add 0.5 and then it would round up to 6. And yeah, this would not cause any problems. Okay, now let's go to this question. How do you link arrays? One second. How do you link arrays? So there is no neat trick for this, but typically when you have two given arrays and if they're linked, like it, the row of the first of the 1D array will link to either the row or the column of the 2D array. Like, yeah, and you can, since the row or the column is like linked, and so therefore the number of rows or columns is equal to the 1D array, you can use a loop of that size, and you would correctly loop because the number is the same, and you can just access either the 1D array at that index, or you can access the row or the column. I will quickly explain what modular division is. Here, Venn diagram. I made this myself. You're welcome. Um, so 10 over 3 is 3 with a remainder of 1, right? And if you do div 10 3, you will get the quotient. Whereas if you do mod 10 3, you will get the remainder. That's all. That's all. Um, oops. Yeah. Okay. And then I will go back to the questions. How do you easily make a menu? Someone has already made it, so I'll just... You can't output multiple lines, so this is the only way you can do it. And then you just input a choice. And if you want to validate the choice, then you can repeat until choice is uh, equals to 1. No, repeat until... Well, this should be indented, but yeah. Until choice equals 1 or choice equals 2 or etc. Couldn't you just do this for the pseudocode we did earlier? If number mod 1, yes you can. This is also a valid way of... Oh wait, I'm not sure about this one. Okay, this is a valid way of checking if a number is whole or not. Because if you mod 1, you will get the remainder, which if the remainder is like 0.5 or something, then you know it's not a whole number. But this, however... Oh yeah, you can do this. Good job. Because if it's 5.5, it will pass this if condition, and then 5.5 div 1. Well, it should be div number 1. This would disregard the remainder, aka the 0.5, so you just be left with 5, and then you add 1, which will be 6. Good job. That's also another new one. Can I put the menu in a procedure and use it all over the 15 marker? Yes, and you should. That's why I use the menu as an example a lot. Please do. It's a good idea. Because you don't want to be doing this like 20,000 times. It's like so many lines of code for just printing the menu. So make it a procedure. Wait, I just came back. What is this menu? Um, uh, no, yeah. If you want to just output menu, then do this and then put it in a procedure. A screenshot would be good. I'll just send the code. Can you show us an example of how to use procedures and functions? Check YouTube videos I have made on the P2 session at Pub Studies on YouTube or Pseudocode Pro. Yeah, because I've already covered it and I don't want to cover something twice. And when will we do past papers? I might just do one now. It's a good time. Give me 1 second to download it. What paper do we want to do? 1 more hour until the session then ends. I'm not sure I'll finish all because you're supposed to, finish it in 1:45. Plus I have to explain it to you guys. Months? Is Feb March 26 allowed? I'm not sure. Oh, Atib did Feb March 26. It will be in the recording. Yeah, Atib has already done it yesterday. So check the IGCSE YouTube channel for the recording. Can we do the grid 15 marker? There are many grid 15 markers. (24:22). I think I've covered it somewhere. Check my YouTube channel. Is there a way to... Avina? Are you here? Avina? I was trying to do a poll. Okay, you guys just type in chat. So I would like to know whether we want to do the first half of the paper, because we won't have time to do a full paper. Either we do the first half of the paper without the 15 marker, where that will cover a diverse range of concepts, or do we want to just do 115 marker, because that would probably take the entire time, plus a bit of spare time. If you want the first half of the paper with all the questions, then type 1. If you want the 15 marker, type 2 in chat. Don't spam. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Okay, 15 marker it is. Okay. Which 15 marker? I'll open each one you suggest and then I'll get you guys to vote, I guess. Suggest me a paper, 15 markers you want to do. I will keep opening the ones you guys have suggested. Avina, don't worry, it's all good. May, June 25 to 2. That's another one. Okay. I'll open it up and then we'll see. Well, this should be easy. Okay, I'll screen share. Have I been missing a question? Wait, okay, I'm sorry. Should we cram the code for bubble sort? Um, watch my bubble sort video first and then let me know if you want to do anything in my channel. I have sent the bubble sort video earlier. I'll do it again next. Okay, okay, guys, vote. 1, 2, and 3. This is the first one. I'm guessing we have to, just calculate the volumes of each. And then the second one, where we have to generate random numbers and count the frequencies and do whatever. Or 3, this cricket club's statistics matches points program. 1, 2, or 3. 1 is volume. 2 is number frequency. And 3 is matches cricket matches statistics. Keep them coming. 1, 2, or 3. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Okay. I'll try to squeeze both in if possible, but yeah, we'll do 2 for now. Let me sort it out. Oh, okay, I will open the exam question. Feel free to ask anything else meanwhile. Paper 22, random number frequencies. Okay, let's see. Open question PDF. Open in code editor. Okay. Here. We will be doing this question together. So, as seen, this is the pseudocode pro generated questions you can find from exam questions and questions. And he gives you, these, which is very handy. Now, let's see. Generate 100,000 random numbers between 1 and 10 inclusive. In this case, Pseudocode Pro has made it 1,000, so it's easier to run on the sites. The 1D array, random number, oh god, is used to store 100,000 random numbers. Whereas the counted number is used, okay, to store the frequency of each number. Makes sense. So we have 1 to 1000, 1 to 10, and 1 to 2. So generate 100,000 random numbers. And then store each number in the array. Calculate the frequency of integers between each integer and store it in the array. Sort the contents of the counted number in descending order. Calculate the chance of generating each number in 1 to 10, rounded to 4 decimal places. Okay. So we have to calculate the chance of getting it, and then chance is that, and then output the chance of getting each number. Okay. Example that sorts to the array in ascending order. uh F, okay, it has provided a way to, yeah, go through it to the array and sort it. Cool. Now, has anyone done this question yet? Can someone please confirm that this is a bug? Because it should be 1 to, however much, right? Not 1 to 2. If not, I'll just do so. Okay. Yeah, okay. Okay. It should be 1 to quantity, or one to, yeah. Because you can have the number 1 to 10 with, however much frequency you get, not, um, not, uh, not just 1 to 2. So, how do we start? I just go through their bullet point. Their bullet points are so handy. Generate 100 random numbers from 1 to 10 inclusive. In this case, we're doing 1000. Okay, so let's go. 4 counts from 1 to quantity, and then we generate a random number between 1 and 10. So now random number of counts. So we'll store it in the array. And then we'll store the number. So first random, that's 0 to 1. And then we multiply it by 5 because 10 because we want the range, 9 because we want the range of 9. Because 10 minus 1 is 9, right? And then we round that to the nearest whole number, and so then we'll get a random number between 0 and 9, and then u plus 1. to get 1 to 10. Next, count. Are we all okay now? We have just generated a random between 0 to 9, rounded, so then that's a random integer between 0 to 9, and plus 1, so that's 1 to 10. And we have generated it 1,000 times and inserted into the array. And just keep commenting. I can say random times 9 equals 0 to 9. Then plus 1 equals 1 to 10. Comments aren't that hard. You just say what you did. Which paper is this? It's this. Now, okay, 1 to 2 is actually correct. My bad. So the first column will be the frequency. Wait. No, the first column will be the number, and then the second column will be the count, the frequency. However, they could have just made it a 1D array from 1 to 10 and then, do it respectively, but yeah. Okay. So now what we do is we calculate the frequency of each of the integers and store it. And I think they mean count, right? So first, okay, I'll put it on Paint so it's easier to visualize. Number and frequency. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and to 10. And you might have 8, you might have 9. So that's what we're trying to make, right? And so that's the first column, that's the second column, and then that's 10 rows. So that's why it's 1 to 10 and 1 to 2. So we want to just populate the first column first because that's easy. So let's do for a count of 1 to 10. We do counted number of the row, so whatever number it is, and then the first position, so 1. And that will also just be the number, so 1 to 10. Don't we have to initialize the array? Arrays only have to be declared. That's the only thing you don't have to initialize. Or well, this is the initialization if you want to count it like that. Populate the populate 1 to 10 in the first column. Nothing difficult about this. We just follow through the bullet points. And then we want to, we still want to calculate the frequency. So we go through the entire thing again. If you want maximum efficiency, then you can just do it from this loop, but I'll just do it again here, just so it's clear. So we want to go through each number and then count. So let's say counted number of count and 2 is equals to itself plus 1. And then I'll explain why in a second. So this will give you, let's say, oh wait, my bad, not the count. Value. The split screen thing is my browser. I'll declare value here then. See, this is the nice thing about um leaving space. You can just go back and declare. So the value is the random number at count. Then that, and then that. So now in the random number 1D array, we will have just a random number between 1 to 10, 1000 times, right? And then let's say we come across a 9. Um, so yeah, that's the second position. So now we have gotten value equals to be the random number array at the second index. So that's 9. That's value. So we would check the ninth row. Okay, let's say this is 9. What the frequency is. The current frequency is 10. And then we will add 1 to the frequency because we just came across another 9. And now it reminded me I have to edit the initialization so that this entire column will start from 0. Else it would be weird. Whoever said that, my bad. There we go. And yeah, frequency, that is done. Calculate the chance and output. Store it in descending order first, actually. Copy the code. Like, might as well. They give us this, and why not just use it? Be lazy, everyone. The more lazy you can be, the better. Why is this so indented? Okay. Um. Okay. So it's talking about how it can sort the 2D array in ascending order. We want to sort this counting this 2D array in descending order because they want descending order. So let's see. For f equals false, f is the swap variable, and for f to f false, I equals 1 to 9. In this case, it's 10. Oh no, it's 9 because you add 1 to the index and then it will be 10. Check the second position. And since it's already done everything for us, the only thing we have to change to make it descending order is just this. And then the rest of it we can just change the name, right? I don't understand the counting frequency section, not gonna lie. Okay, I'll go back to that. Do we need to know bubble sort for 2D arrays? Yes, you do. But sometimes they might be kind. A lot of the time they will be kind and give you something like this. Only for bubble sort for 2D because it's very hard, you know. Uh, okay. So first I'll declare temp 1 and temp 2 for them. And then this is just this. Like 15 markers. If they give you an extract, then just use it. Um, yeah, okay, there. And then I'll declare a Boolean of f being there. Sort contents in descending order of frequency. And then we just comment it, you know. And then I'll go back to your question on how to uh I'll go back on how to count the frequency because someone asked that and it might be a bit confusing. So compare current with the next element, then swap if current is smaller because we want bigger first, bigger numbers first because we're doing descending order. Like you can just talk in verb like caveman language like this and it's fine. Um yeah. And then we have done that, done that, done that. Okay, everything is done. And so everything is sorted. Now we calculate the chance and output the chance of getting them. So and let's just loop through the list instead of making a whole array for it. No, okay, let's go back to counting the frequency first. So we're all on the same page. So we in all the 1000 random numbers we generated, we will have random numbers between 1 and 10, 1000 times. So let's say we made this loop, no, this loop, and you know this loop's 1000 times. So every single number, and let's say we're in the second position now, aka counts the second count now. So we will set value equals to this array at index of 2, so which is the number 9. So the number we're trying to loop through. And then we have the number 9. And so now we know that we have spotted one more number 9 to add to the counter, right? So let's say the old counter of number 9 was 11. We can say it's 12 now by indexing the 9th row at the frequency, no, at the frequency column, which is the second column. And then whatever that is, we use the same value in +1. So that's how we have counted frequency. Now, how we will calculate the chance and output, I will do that right now. And again, we'll do another loop. For loops will be your best friend for most of the tasks you're trying to do. In this case, it's 1 to 10 because we have 10 numbers to display its frequency in descending order. So output the probability for number for number count is, oh yeah, commas in outputs are allowed. I forgot. Yesterday I have corrected Atib on no concatenation with the ampersand symbol, but um you can use a comma in the output statement. And now we need to calculate the probability, right? Wait, actually it should be counted number at count of 1, because now it has been, since we sorted it into descending order, it will become okay, let's say this was 18, just so it makes sense. 2 has the highest frequency, so our sorting would have done this, and then this, and then 3 being 9, then 1 being 7. So this means the number 2 has appeared 18 times, etc., going down. And so we're looping through the first row. So counted number first count, and then the first column, so this number. So we're saying the probability of getting a 2 is, and then dot dot dot, and we have to figure out how to calculate the probability, because now we only have just the frequency, not the probability of getting the number, right? And since we have generated 1,000 numbers, or in the exam would be 100,000, we can just say probability equals to the frequency, which is at 2, divided by quantity, and probability. Okay. Do you want that all again? Does that help? Or would that help, I mean? I can quickly being a real, right? I'll go it all over again very quickly. Rounded to 4 decimal places. I forgot, thank you. So let's say probability is equals to probability rounded to 4 decimal places. Simple as that. Next count. Okay. Yeah. So, how did we just calculate chance and output? So, okay. So going through, this is the new sorted 2D array, right? And it sorts from which number having the highest frequency. So in the list, maybe we have had 2 18 times. Realistically, it would be a lot more because we have looped through 1,000 numbers. But 2 18 times, the first row is 2. So the first time we are looping through this, we are looping through the first row. And here we're getting the second column, which is this column, so 18. And then we divide by quantity, because if we only got 18 rows out of 1,000 total random numbers generated, then that means we have a 18 in 1,000 chance of getting the number 2. And then we have got the probability. Now we have to round it to 4 decimal places, as said here. And yeah, we have gotten the probability of getting a 2. And so we say the probability for number, and then now we're trying to, print the number 2, which is the first count at the first column is whatever probability. And yeah, we have just completed that. Let's see if it will work. I hope so. Where will it come up? There, cool. The reason it's like 3 decimal places here is because um we only did 1,000 items. Uh yeah. So any number divided by 1,000 will only give a maximum of 3 decimal places. But yeah, we have just completed the paper. Any questions? I might end soon because it's about to reach the 2 hours mark, and I want the next person to be able to prepare their session. I hope it has been useful so far, and I will post this recording soon, unless we have more questions.